Let's look for interesting opportunities in the market. So first off, read this disclaimer carefully. So let's start by looking for some opportunities. So let's go to the Boost watch list, which contains a bunch of securities for which there are leveraged alternatives. So let's expand this a bit. So I do think that we should look at some stocks. So let's start here from the bottom with Tesla. TSLA. There's a bit of a correction in development here for Tesla. A bit of a sharper fall yesterday. But let's look a bit further because this is a move in development. Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft not really corrected much yet. Looking at the dailies, it lost the 20-day moving average in purple. So Microsoft is interesting. So let's put it here on the list. Microsoft. Potential candidate. Then Google. Weeklies. Looking at Google here. A potential support actually at the blue 100-week moving average. So let's quickly look a bit here at the seasonality for Google. Actually, it's a bit bullish into mid-July. July is one of the better months. June so far has been a correction month. That's interesting. Okay. Let's just quickly here look at Amazon. So Amazon, it's one of those that I'm more likely to look for shorting opportunities, given that we have already seen a very protracted rally. So I think that Google actually might be the one here. Yeah, so let's analyze Google. So we start with technical analysis. So the blue 100-week moving average is sort of like the number one indicator. So we have to go a bit back to see whether it was relevant in the past. And you can see back here, let me draw it in. Like that, you can see that it was a thing back here. And when we fast forward, we see also that recently, like over here, a bit over here. Here we do find support. And then we are off to the races. So it is a moving average that matters. Let's look at the dailies. We do have a rounding top, which is not, the most ideal pattern when looking for some bullish opportunities. The green 50-day moving average is below us, but looking at the history here, it does have some history of functioning as support and also resistance. Yeah, maybe the 50-day moving average could matter. You see here that in the pre-market, Google is actually pulling back a bit. So if we do find some support here at the 50-day moving average, and also you could get a double bottom. This low back here, around basically where we are likely to open today is where you would have that double bottom form. But it's a part of a rounding top pattern, so it's not really ideal. So TA here is a bit messy. We are not seeing rejection from like extreme overbought RSI. The purple 20-week PPO did get a bit excessive, but we're not at extreme levels where we expect like a very substantial mean reversion. Here are the dailies. Accumulation distribution is not fully corroborating the sell-off so far. RSI is not in a very interesting, like super buyable zone. So yeah, this would be a megatrend stock. Google. Well, let's say Alphabet. Okay. So like this. Okay, so the key thing here is that we have let's call it 50 DMA. Given the pre-market activity, let's see if 50 DMA support question mark and horizontal, no double bottom, I guess. double bottom, like that. TA, I think I will give the bulls, give them a 4. Next, we look at the seasonality. So we did see some bullish activity into mid-July. July is a very green month for Google, going all the way back here to the financial crisis, basically. 2014 was like the worst July for Google, losing 0.7%, so nothing really dramatic. So yeah, the seasonality is just bullish. August is a bit messy, but recently it's been more bullish than bearish. So when it comes to the seasonality, I do think I will give the bulls a solid 7 on this one. Next, we look at the fundamentals for Alphabet. Price earnings in green. It's at a reduced level. It's been much higher in the past, but it's not like cheap either. Price to sales is actually pretty decent. Relatively low level historically. Price book is also not too shabby. But we are not like, this isn't like a very strong value case. It's more that it's repriced, so down to a lower level. The forecasts, average price target is 11% above us. Highest is 61% above. Lowest is 16-ish below. The analysts are very bullish, 38 strong buys, a few buys and holds, but no sells or strong sells. So the fundamentals here are pretty good. Yeah. So when it comes to the fundamentals, I think I will give the bulls a 5 on the fundamentals. It's okay. It's nothing like, it's not the strong value case. It's repriced to a reasonable level. As far as leveraged ways to trade Alphabet, you do have Direction, and they have the GGLS if you are feeling bearish, and GGLL if you are feeling bullish. Here are the long-term correlations between Google and the S&P 500, and we have 94% positive, so very strong correlation. We don't get anything short-term, well, long-term for the GGLS or the GGLL. Short-term, we are at 87% with the S&P 500, 99% negative with GGLS, which is really good. It really tracks Alphabet well. For the bullish one, we have a perfect correlation. So these ETFs, they work. Let's just look at the SPY. So the SPY is correcting a bit. On the daily data points, we do have the purple 20-day moving average, but you see that we haven't really been trading it recently. It's a very messy moving average, so you can't really be like, oh, the 20-day moving average, and then we find support. For the S&P, it's not like that. And the different securities will have their own sort of levels that work. The SPY does have a bit of a tendency when getting overbought to correct more significantly. That could be a problem for Google. You see here that in the pre-market, S&P is actually going to open up a bit higher. Here is the seasonality for the SPY. Yeah, some bullishness into mid-July here as well. June so far has given us 3%, which actually is on the higher end though when it comes to June. July is rather bullish for the SPY as well. Okay, so let's now compare Alphabet with the SPY, like that, and then we got the SPY. Okay. Very noisy, not like any clear signal at all, really, on the dailies. Yeah, on the dailies, you could make some case that looking at RSI, we are at one of the support levels, meaning there is a tendency for Google to begin to outperform the SPY at these levels. Yeah, so the correction might be sufficient for that. Looking at seasonality, Google Alphabet has a tendency to outperform the SPY into mid-July, which is rather beneficial. In June, we have seen this is the second worst June in this pair. July is usually a month where Alphabet outperforms the S&P 500, which, of course, in this case supports a bullish thesis. So looking here at relative performance, I do think the bulls, they should get. I think I give them a 3. The reason why they don't get anything more is because there is a strong correlation between Alphabet and the S&P 500. Given that S&P has a bit of a tendency to correct more, when it begins correcting, it could certainly drag down Alphabet, even though there is the possibility that Alphabet will outperform the S&P. So let's look a bit more at these leveraged alternatives. So the GGLL, and the bullish one, it gives you 1.5 times leverage. Yeah. If you look here at the pre-market, it will actually open at the green 50-day moving average. You should not do technical analysis of leveraged products because it doesn't make sense. I was looking at this one just to see whether it looks okay, because you can also detect tracking anomalies by just looking at the chart. Like if I look here at NG, this is the nat gas futures, and then I look at BOIL, the leveraged ETF, and now we go back to October 2020. This one just looks radically different from the futures. So there's obviously quite substantial tracking errors when it comes to BOIL. I had a very annoying surprise yesterday because I was bullish BOIL, so I had a position, but then there was a split. So that's definitively a tip. You should have a notification in your trading account or somewhere else in the case there is a split, especially when you get these kinds of reverse splits, because then the value of the ETFs you hold, it will change significantly. So yes, we have looked at Alphabet. Yes, I do think it's interesting to consider some bullish position on Alphabet. It is very contingent on this horizontal double bottomish support holding. You also have the moving average, the green 50-day. We do still have a rounding top pattern. It's not an ideal pattern. There's a lot of gravity that builds up for that pattern. So it's very to be determined if this support level holds, but it's an interesting bullish trade, and I do like to have a bit of a mix of some bullish and some bearish positions, because then I will be more market neutral, and when you are market neutral, it becomes a lot easier to navigate all kinds of trading environments, and also to analyze the securities more objectively, because if you know how the bears and the bulls think, then you can sort of be like the octopus.